Welcome back for another video. Game week 4 nearing with the first international break of the season coming to a close. So let's talk about the best players to buy this game week, including the best wildcard and free hit picks if you're using a chip this week. So goalkeepers up first, and the standout fixture for me is champions Liverpool against promoted Burnley away, which has got Alisson top of the table on FPL review. If we look at the next 5 projections, it's actually Raya that leads, so if you're going to go for any premium keeper, I actually like Raya longer term. And of course, it only captures the next 5. From Game Week 7, there's a really nice fixture swing for Arsenal. We have had a new 5.5mm keeper added though, Donnarumma. Is he worth buying? Well, interestingly, he comes in joint 4th for Game Week 4 projections, and he's second only to Raya for the next 5. He's regarded as one of the best keepers in the world in terms of pure shot stopping. He's absolutely massive at 6'5". He's really elite with his positioning. It doesn't have the distribution anything near the same quality as Ederson, so it's an interesting signing. It could just be one for Man City's future rather than Pep's future, or maybe Pep's sacrificing or making some tweaks to his philosophy. We could see some less of those risky balls playing out from the back and more long balls. But yeah, all things considered, I prefer Raya. Saliba is of course out 3 to 4 weeks now, it's just been reported, but they do have incredible depth in all positions across the back line, so they'll potentially be unaffected there. And Mosquera look really capable against Liverpool. Obviously don't buy him given Saliba's not out long term, but I'd expect Arsenal to be okay. At cheaper price points in goal, there's Henderson. He's top in terms of the 5mm keepers for Game Week 4, giving Palace a home to Sunderland. And Palace are obviously going to be pleased to have kept Guehi after that Liverpool move fell through on deadline day. And good news as well if you do have Henderson or other Palace defenders in your team. Sanchez and Henderson both tied for the next 5 game weeks projected, but it's Martinez who's actually top of the 5mm keepers on 18 points for the next 5. Another bit of late drama in the transfer window, because obviously he'd hoped to conclude a move to Man United and he didn't get the call in the end. Instead it was Lamens who joined, who's also 5mm, and obviously not on the table this game week because they've got Man City. And lastly, as far as the 4.5mm keepers, it's Petrovic who leads for the next 5. Obviously doesn't make the table this week, he's on 3.4 points, and he's on 16.9 for the next 5. Huge credit to Areola and the Bournemouth squad though. Many of us expected them to leak goals after losing Kepa, House and Sabahanye and Kirkis, and yet they've got 2 clean sheets in their first 3 games, Bournemouth, and overall they're 5th best for expected goals conceded in those opening 3 games. Newcastle are top with 1.5 XGC, Arsenal 2.2, Chelsea 2.4. Sunderland unexpectedly high here in 4th with 2.7 XGC. Though of course we are still talking about small sample sizes when it's 3 games, and we'll get a better read as more games are played. Table here is from the Scouts members area. There's a link below to get 40% off, and you can use all my tables in the members area for FPL. Defenders next. So we mentioned that Sunderland home for Palace, which has got Munoz top this week, and Lacroix and Guehi also on the table. Munoz is really that one player I'd love to be able to fit in my team myself this week. 4 goals, 6 assists last season. 10 goal involvements from a defender is incredible, 8.4 XGI. This season, his underlying numbers have still been solid, that's continued. 9 crosses, 2 chances created, 0.86 XGI, and that's 4th highest among all defenders. Lacroix is a very capable alternative though for a bit cheaper. Obviously fewer goal involvements, but he's an absolute beast for defensive contributions. Last season, he hit the threshold 17 times for what would have been an extra 34 additional points, and he's hit it twice this season as well, and he's averaging 12.3 DCs per game. Defenders only need 10 of course. So Gabriel makes the table as well in 3rd place. I've personally earmarked Game Week 7 to buy him, or maybe Raya, maybe even both, because they do have City and Newcastle in Game Week 5 and 6, and then there's that noticeable fixture swing in Game Week 7 for Arsenal. Anderson historically also registers really well for DEFCONs, and he's hit it twice in 3 games this season, averaging 9.6 per game, and he's got Leeds home next game, which is perfect really. Naturally, no Forest defenders on the table since they've got Arsenal away, but don't forget Forest have got Burnley and Sunderland, Game Week 5 and 6, so keep hold and then consider selling if you want to. They have been disappointing so far, but it could be premature to drop now. If I was wildcarding, what would my defence be? I would have Munoz in there definitely, I'd have Gabriel, I'd have Anderson, he'd definitely be in, and then the last 2 spots, there's so many options. You could go double Palace with Lacroix, that looks quite good. Senesi for cheaper, 4.6mm I like a lot. Concer's potentially good value as well for 4.5mm, because he's got Everton, Sunderland, Fulham and Burnley in his next 4. Right now, the current FPL team of the season's got a back 5 formation, so maybe we should be paying more attention to defenders. Midfielders next, and Salah's absolutely miles ahead of the rest for the Burnley fixture. That all said, there has been an undeniable drop in terms of the opening 3 game weeks compared to what we usually expect from him. 0.65 XGI for Salah ranks 62nd in the league, just behind Rico Lewis and Xerxes. Again, it's a small sample size, but do we look elsewhere for captaincy? Well, there aren't really any alternative midfielders this week, other than maybe Palmer, assuming that he's fully fit and back for the Brentford game, if you still have him as well. Otherwise, maybe the forwards could provide the alternatives for captaincy. That all said, I'm personally very settled on Salah captain, and that's not going to be changing. If you've not had the best start you'd wanted this season and you've wildcarded over the international break, if Palmer is indeed fit, don't rule him out as a great option to pair with Salah or Haaland on a wildcard. Like, he's just played the one game, and it would be truly mad to actually write him off as a top pick just yet. I mean, last season, all the chatter was about how poor he was second half of the season, and he was pretty poor, but when you step back and look at it, 214 points he got, which was third most behind Salah and Mbeumo, and Mbeumo's absolutely not scoring anywhere near as many points this season. A price fall to 8.4 mil though, and no returns the opening 3 game weeks for Verts, but he does still sit third on the table this week, so it's not the week to sell, as annoying as he's been. You've got to give him at least the Burnley game first. And Verts scored against Georgia from a free kick over the international break. Salah also got on the score sheet from the penalty spot. Gakpo is a bit more of a comfortable hold than Verts, given he has been returning, but the big question is, how is Slot going to line up with Isak arriving? Initially, I think my prediction is Isak's going to be benched game week 4 and probably 5, and then thereafter, the question is, if Isak does start, who misses out? I think there could be the odd game even where all 4 of Gakpo, Ekitike, Isak and Salah will start, but it's going to be a rarity. I mean, Gakpo's a natural winger, Ekitike can play there, so can Isak, and Ekitike's been really good, but it could be him that misses out most frequently. But yeah, again, don't sell either just yet. Ndiaye and Semenyo both tied on 4.4 points this week. Is it me, or do the price changes feel a bit more erratic this season? We've had about 320 price changes already. Like, there's some days where there's literally 15 plus falls. So yeah, Semenyo's up 0.4 mil already after 3 game weeks, 2 goals, 1 assist. The next 6 fixtures look really great for Bournemouth as well, so he'd definitely be in my wildcard midfield. Xavi Simons comes in as a 7 million mid, but he's another wait and see for me. And their other signing, Kolo Muani, also priced 4 mil, he's a forward. I'm not looking at either of them right now for the time being, but Spurs do have great fixtures, so keep an eye on the both of them. One player who's not on the table here, but definitely on my watch list, is Rodri. We expected him to barely play before the international break based on Pep's remarks, but he played 90 against Brighton before the break. Obviously he missed pretty much all of last season with injury. In the 21-22 season with DCs, he would have scored 173 points. 22-23 season, 152. 23-24 season, 197 points he would have got. He's had a price fall to 6.4 mil. So he's really tempting if he does keep getting 90 minutes frequently. Maybe from game week 6 when they've got Burnley home. How much have you guys been factoring defensive contributions into your thinking in terms of who you initially went with game week 1 and who you're transferring in week to week? It's going to take some time to see in hindsight what the best strategy was, whether we had to go all in on DEFCONs, or maybe the best strategy will end up being completely overlooking it and just picking the more traditional FPL picks like your full-backs and your attacking players. So let's have a look at the best forwards, and given everything that we've discussed in Isak, that's the explanation for him not appearing on the table. He was benched in Sweden's last match. He did get the call up for the international break, but he didn't even come on that game. In my eyes, there's just no way he comes straight into the 11 next game week ahead of Ekitike, like maybe in game week 5 or 6. He's not even had a pre-season, and he's going to be short of full fitness. Fulkrug went home injured over the break, and obviously since his minutes were looking poor anyway, with Wilson, the recent super sub, it's time to sell if you've got him. It's Haaland who tops the table though, 6.1 points, but Gyökeres surprisingly high on 6 points for the Forest game. I mean, one thing that's worth pointing out, especially with new signings, is the algorithm's FPL review can take a while to adjust and catch up. I mean, it could be bang on here with Gyökeres and what he's going to do in the next 5, or maybe having him second to Haaland's too generous, but I'll have to see. 26.7 points for the next 5 puts him ahead of Palmer even. The forwards are really tricky though, because Haaland is Haaland, but he's so expensive. Gyökeres is showing a lot of promise on the table here, but Mateta's got Sunderland home, João Pedro's been smashing it, and he doesn't have Låbakk for competition now either, given the injury there. Ekitike also looking like a hold for now until he loses his place. But yeah, on a wildcard, I wouldn't have Ekitike. At the end of the day, like, Arsenal are expected to be title contenders. Havertz is injured for a while, Gyökeres is on penalties, and you know, you're buying the number 9 of potential title contenders that they have to be feeding the chances to. So I think he's an excellent pick, but there is of course no harm in waiting until that Game Week 7 fixture swing that we mentioned earlier, and just see how the next 3 go for him and Arsenal. They do need to create more for him though. One big chance created is an entire team in the opening 3 game weeks Arsenal have, which is literally rock bottom. Though as far as expected goals, 4.5 XG ranks 5th highest. Evan Nilsson I like a lot for slightly cheaper at 7 million, but Mateta does look worth the 0.5 million if you can find it, especially this game with that entry point home to Sunderland. This is on the table, but I think he's a hard avoid. Like, he's just too risky to justify at 7.5 mil when they've also spent record money on Voltemada. Watkins is on 4.1 points, so the same as Bowen, so I could have put either on the table there. Big decision for us Watkins owners is whether to give him 2 more game weeks so you catch that Burnley game in Game Week 5. Obviously it's Everton first, or just cut our losses and sell. Both João Pedro and Mateta are tempting replacements for me, and they both free up money as well. We're still waiting to hear on Strand Larsen, who was called up for Denmark over the break, but he had to withdraw due to that injury. I'll run you through my plans in the team selection video this Wednesday. We've got the FPL Team Talk video coming tomorrow, the Experts Thursday, and then we'll hear from Tom Dollymore, number 1 all-time manager, on Friday. Thanks very much for watching, and do hit subscribe so you don't miss out on that content. See you soon for the next one.